Okay, so I'm going to show you how to do some shading, going from light to dark. Okay, so what we'll do, we'll start off just shading nice and dark, not too heavy though. Okay. And we'll start from one side. So with me being right-handed, I'm starting from the left-hand side. If you are left-handed, please do start from the right-hand side. Okay, and you can see what I'm doing is as I'm moving across the rectangle that you've all drawn, okay, I'm shading in one direction because that's the way that most of you do it. And you see where I can see some steps here, okay, where it's just a bit too light, I am going back over with an even pressure. Okay, and now I'm taking the pressure off a little bit as I move along the rectangle. Okay, and you can see that, yeah, I'm picking up a few steps here. Okay, you know, it's a bit darker here than it is here, so I have got to go back over and try and make that a little bit smoother. Okay. Now, my arm's getting a little bit tired, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my arm off the page for a little while. Not for very long, sorry, a couple of seconds, and give it a bit of a rest. Okay, but now what I'm going to do is I've got to put my pencil down on the side that it's been worn away on. Okay, I'm not going to spin it around and put it on the sharper side. I'm going to really look at it. I'm going to try and see where it's worn down. I'm going to make sure that I then put that back on my paper. Otherwise, what will happen is that your pencil, the pointy part of your pencil, okay, will create a very, very different mark. Okay, and I'll show you that in a second with mark making. So if you can just trust me today, I'd be really grateful. Okay, now what I'm going to do is now moving along the rectangle a little bit more. Okay, nearly getting to the end, I'm really going to take my pencil off the paper, so I'm barely even touching it. Problem with this look, as you can see, okay, I'm not actually going to the edges of the boxes as much. Okay, and now I'm going to let my paper shine through right at the end. Can you see here there's a step? There's a step here, it's a bit darker here. So I've got to think, what is it that I can do? And you can see here as well. So again, make sure that you put your pencil on where it's worn. And I'm just going to go over those bits a little bit more. Okay, with a similar kind of pressure to before, but maybe just a little bit lighter. And just go over it and over it and over it until I'm happy that I've got no step. But look what's happened. It's darker here than it is here. So I've now got to go back over all of this so that I graduate my shading nice and slowly. Okay, so go back over, keep going over until eventually I'm happy that there's very limited steps. Okay, and now I'm going to work into it a little bit more because you can see there's a step here. So I'm just going to make it a touch darker. Now you've got to be careful at this point because you don't want it to go too dark. Okay, and take the pressure off. I've still got a bit of a step. Okay, and we'll show you how to deal with that in a second. Okay, so what I do now is it's all in one direction. Okay, so I'm now going to go in the opposite direction, and that, I remember, I've put it down on the bit that's worn away, which you can see a little bit more. Okay, and now I'm just going to start tidying those edges up a little bit. Okay, again, in the horizontal, because I've been shading in a vertical way, I'm just going to keep going over that shading, still getting lighter, okay, as I move along the rectangle here. So I'm getting really super light. Where I had those steps before, okay, I am going to just try and work into those bits so that it's even smoother. Okay, and then I'll take the pressure off again as I move all the way over to this side. Okay, now I do want this bit to be nice and light. So what I'm going to do there is I'm just going to get rubber, and I'm just going to use the weight of the rubber, okay, to just smooth out some of my pencil lines there. Okay, and that is shading with a pencil.